Hey, Dr. Shefali, you will not believe how many questions we are receiving for the Get Real series. Are you ready for today's question?
I sure am.
Okay. Amy asks, can you talk about true love? How do you define it, and does it even really exist?
Well, that's a great question. Most of us believe that we have experienced a state of high love. Well, we have and we haven't. The reason I say this is that we may believe we have felt high or true love, but most of us haven't, for the simple and pure reason is that we haven't been awakened to this state of awareness toward our own self. Most of us are not in this high love relationship with ourselves. And if our own relationship with ourselves is highly conditional or judgmental or acerbic and critical, then it is impossible for us to achieve this state of kinship and transcendental attunement with another. As with everything, true love toward another can only be achieved when we have fully accomplished the task of truly loving ourselves. Secondly, what I'd like to say is that this feeling we have toward others that we may believe is true love is often an affinity, an attraction, a chemistry. Our first intimate relationships, you see, are modeled after some aspect of our childhoods. And we use these intimate relationships to fill the emotional holes, the HOLES is of our childhood, and kind of enter this transactional agreement subconsciously. You fill my holes and I'll fill yours. And due to the fact that most of us in our childhoods weren't raised with consciousness, we aren't a whole entity, WHOLE. And therefore, we kind of mirror our primary, earliest relationships with our parents in our intimate interactions with others. So most of these relationships that we believe are high or transcendental or unconditional are actually fraught with something else, with attachment, with dependency, with this subconscious possession, with this subvert desire for control. And many of us get controlled in these relationships. Now, true love or high love or transcendental love is something entirely different. First, it's only possible when one is deeply attuned and in love with one's own divine nature, and also the divine nature in all of human nature. It is therefore predicated on the individual being whole, being complete within themselves. It's transcendent because it bypasses the duality between self and other. It truly sees the interconnectedness amongst us all. And in order for this kind of awareness to be achieved within the individual, it demands that they've done a certain degree of inner work, where they themselves are in a state of unified inner integration. You see, it's only when we are in a state of unified inner integration that we can be in a state of unified inner integration with another, where there is no control, where there's no judgment, where there's no transactionality, and certainly no dictatorship. So growth then, you see, growth, self-growth, and the harnessing and the encouragement and the celebration of humanity's growth, the growth of consciousness in the other, becomes the key foundational experience of a relationship that is steeped in transcendental love. It is a unification of two very whole individuals that are committed to the celebration of each other's growth. And without growth, then it's not true love, it's attachment. So growth is the predicator, growth is the indicator.